guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about life in Canada, and I'm going to do a little bit of update. Many people have asked me like what type of visa are allowed to come back to Canada, and what type of visa cannot come back to Canada yet. So I'm going to do an update about that today. So let's start with permanent resident. There's two types of permanent resident, the one that carry the card and the one that first time permanent resident. So both of them are allowed to be back in Canada, but for the first time permanent resident who live outside Canada and never been in Canada before, you have to make sure that you've got a right plan. You have to make sure that you have a self-quarantine plan when you arrive in Canada, and you have to do all the paperwork. You have to answer all the questions to the immigration where you're going to be self-quarantine and something like that. It's better to come with someone that sponsor you, because it just like make things easier for you. If you break the rule of self-quarantine and you don't care about self-quarantine, you will have to pay very expensive price. It's almost like $700,000 and with 6 months in jail. So I don't think it worth. So just make sure that you follow the rule and don't break the rule and put everyone in danger. So the second one, student visa. For the student visa is a little bit complicated, I would say. The student who received the visa before March 18 or before they announced closing or shut down the border or the country, they are allowed to be back in Canada. But the student visa who receive the student permit or student visa after March 18, you have to wait. Like, you cannot come back to Canada, because it doesn't matter, because if you come back here, you cannot go to school, or you cannot go to study anyway, because the school and everything is like shut down, and university taking an online class already, and there's so much thing that you come back and you will be surprised that you cannot do. And there's so many places that been shut down already, so you have to make sure that what is your main reason for coming back to Canada, and just have a plan, because you will not be able to work for a while. And it's kind of like tough for the student too, because it's hard for them to find a job right now. But the government just announced the help for them, so I think it's $1,250 a month, which is gonna help them a little bit. So just make sure that you got a right plan. And every type of visa and everyone that come back from other country, you need to be self-quarantine, and that is very important. Just put that in your list. You must do that. So the next one is the temporary worker. Before they announced that some type of temporary worker are allowed, but right now I think every type of temporary worker are allowed to be back. But before you come back, you need to talk with your employer first, because it is very important to come back and to know that you have a job waiting for you. But if you come back here and you have no job and you're gonna be a struggle here, I don't think it would. You have to make sure and to contact your employer that do they still hiring, do they still want you. Most of the job they still want people, like farm worker, or in a fishing area or something like that. They still need a lot of worker to work in that area. But when you come back, you have to be self-quarantine too. Just please bear in mind, everyone needs to be self-quarantine for 14 days. Every temporary worker are allowed to be back in Canada right now, and it includes seasonal worker, and it includes work permit, open work permit, and every type of visa, or every type of work permit visa. You are allowed to be back to Canada. So for the next one is the most complicated one. It's a visitor visa and TRV visa, or traveling visa. Right now you are not allowed to be back in Canada. You are not allowed to come to Canada because of the type of your visa that you are carrying. Even though you have relative or you being in a relationship with someone who carrying the permanent resident or someone who have a citizenship, it doesn't matter, it's still hard for you to come back. You have to declare the reason why you want to be back in Canada, and that reason on the agent, that they probably gonna say yes you can come, or they probably gonna say no you cannot come. So it's require a lot of paperwork, and it's require a lot of work if you want to come to Canada with that type of visa. So I just want to tell you that it is very hard right now to come back to Canada with that type of visa. So just make sure that don't put yourself in a hard situation of running around getting the paper for non-reason to come back, because you cannot travel in Canada because everywhere is closed. The park is closed, and many hotels are not taking the guests right now, and many restriction is required. So you have to, even though you come back here and you have to spend 14 days in a room for self-quarantine, I don't think it's worth for your experience, and I don't think anyone would like to have that type of experience in traveling or in visiting Canada like that. So just make sure that you have a second plan if you have a traveling visa, or if you have a visitor visa. So I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So next time I will do a lot of update on people who living inside Canada and carrying another type of visa. What should you do if your visa is expired? And we're gonna talk a little bit more about government money. Like I said, I give a lot of advice to Thai people or Thai community, so I kind of know a little bit of this type of money. So just stay tuned guys, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and see you next time. Bye bye.